I'm back. And there was on a TV show before, and it's kind of like a TV show, I guess. So I don't know how to respond or act sometimes. But anyway, we were talking about Hebrews chapter 12. You have not yet resisted the place striving against sin. I'll even quote out reading it. And you have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. That's not spankings. That's not strikings. It's not that. One of the hardest things for us is seeing who we really are. One of the hardest things to do to transfer what he wants us to be. When we find out who we really are and we base everything on that, and I understand, I totally understand. I've met many of folk that have held on to, that have grasped, that have fought, and even died, some of them, for an idea that wasn't solid. And so he tells us there in Hebrews 12. Still dealing with Isaiah. Remember, I told you I was going to show you everything in the Bible of what God showed me. What's this? 12. Let me read it. Verse 5. And you have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. Verse 6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receives. It tells us plainly right there that God's got it. Thank God that he does. And when you go through the scriptures, you see how rough it is, how intense it is. I look at some of the things those guys did in the Bible, and I'm talking about the stuff that happened to them. I'm talking about the stuff that went on. One guy had to lie on his side for how many days? 300 days, 100 days, something like that. And then lay on the other side. Another guy had to eat poop. Another guy had to be in a pit. Let me show it to you. This is part of that. This is others had trial of cruel mockings and scourgings. This is Hebrews 11, verse 36. Yea, moreover, of bonds and imprisonment. Because they told the truth, they were imprisoned. They were bound. They were tied down for telling the truth. And it's not I'm going to tell you something and you better believe it or that's it. That's not what that is. It's got nothing to do with that. What's this? They were stoned. They were sawn asunder, meaning they were cut up with swords, saws. They threw rocks at them. Were tempted. Were slain with the sword. They wandered about in sheepskins and goatskins, being destitute, afflicted, tormented. Not very nice, glamorous stuff at all. For truth. I remember Jeremiah was in the slime pit up to here, which is feces and urine, up to here for the truth. They were in prison. I've read the ones that were imprisoned. Heavy duty stuff for truth. And the bit that we go through, the stuff that we go through. Okay. Well, let me show you. It reads it pretty darn good. Pretty self explanatory. Back to chapter 12. If you endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? So, in other words, where is there a son and father together, and the father corrects them? Watch, it explains it pretty good. Now, but if you be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are you bastards and not sons. In other words, if this chastisement doesn't go on, you're not his child. That's the way it is. What's this? Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. True. My dad used to beat the heck out of me, and I still listen to him. Later on, I quit because I realized he was messed up. But I didn't say I quit listening to him, but I didn't adhere to his baloney anymore. Just me. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live? In other words, whatever we go through with him, if we made ourselves subject to people, watch it, explain it. It's pretty good. For they verily for a few days chasten us after their own pleasure. So the fathers of this earth, or the mothers, did it for their benefit, not the kids. I'm going to tell you that right now. When I see a parent hit a kid, I'm thinking, you're doing that for you, not for them. Because who the heck uses violence to try to make somebody listen? Terrible. The best teacher is example. Not this, not this. Example. Kids follow what they see, not what they hear. So if you beat your kid, they're going to beat their kids, they're going to beat their kids, and there's that perpetual cycle again. But it's only for your benefit. You're making them do that for you, not them. Period. Terrible. But he for our profit. So the parents of this earth do it for their own benefit. God does it for our benefit. That we might be partakers of his holiness. So he is, in fact, going to do this to us for us to be benefited by. And it's hard. Watch, let me show you. Now, no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Hey, what's up? Hot, right? Super hot. But grievous. Nevertheless, afterward he yielded the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. So therefore, we will go through what we go through. We will have things happen. That's intense. And it's not nice, it's not glamorous, it's not feels good. But he does it for our benefit. And that's why the scriptures are given to us. That's why the stories in the Bible are given to us, to let us know there was many others that went through the same things, if not worse. I can pick any story you want. I'll go through it later. So there's your part right there. There's your part about Satan being thrown to the earth. Satan going against God. And God used dirt to pay him back for the pain that he caused God. Insignificant dirt. And that's powerful. Let me show you what I mean. I remember somebody asked me one time, and I used to hear the stories. I used to hear people would say, "Oh, I felt a fire," or "I seen a light," or stuff like that, which is cool. If that's what went on, that's what went on. So somebody asked me one time, they said, "Well, how were you born again? What did you see? What did you feel? What happened?" And I said, "Well, I'll answer your question if you answer me one question." I said, "You're here in the flesh." "Well, yeah. You were born." "Yeah, I was born." "Do you remember the sperm entering the cell?" They said, "No." "Do you remember the cells exploding, multiplying?" "No." "Do you remember forming in the womb?" He said, "No." I said, "Do you remember coming out of the womb?" He said, "No." I said, "Do you remember your first 4 months on earth?" He said, "No." I said, "If you don't remember something that happened to you physically and it happened to you, how do you expect me to remember something that happened to me spiritually?" But I know it happened. He knew what happened because he was standing there. I knew it happened because God is holding me up. Big difference. Spiritually born again. Tripped him out. He's like, "Whoa, that's a trip," because it is. That literally happened to everybody on earth, but nobody ever remembers any of it. Right? Okay. Let's look at, I believe it's Isaiah again, 14. Let me go back there. I think I'm done with that one. Let me make sure here. Oh, there's another one. Let me give you that. That's one example. I'll give you another example. This one's found in Ezekiel. Okay, Ezekiel. Or as they say, Ezekiel in Spanish. But Ezekiel. I think it's 28. I think. I'm gonna make sure I always lose this. I try to find it and I lose it every time. I think it's 28. I think. Oh yeah, there it is. I finally hit it right. 20. And you look at verse 11. This talks about him again. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, 12. Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord God, Thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. 13. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardis, topaz, the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes were prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. This is talking about Satan. How beautiful. Every precious stone was his covering. Thou art the anointed cherub, high angel, that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou was upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created till iniquity was found in thee. So it gives us example more defining to the appearance of him, where Isaiah talks about what went on in here. It says it right there. He was perfect in beauty till iniquity was found in you. Now I'm going to give you an example of that, because I know everybody say, "What's that? What is this?" Come on. I ask people, I say, "Where did AIDS come from?" Now, it's not such a big thing now because they got pills to counter it and all that, so everybody's not so on it. But back in the day, people were afraid of it. And I'd ask people, "Where did it come from?" They have no idea. I say, "Well, let's deal with what we do know about it. We know that it kills. We know that it's invisible to the eye, naked eye. We know that. So when you look at iniquity, same thing. Who cares where it came from? We just know it's there." And he said, "Iniquity was found in you." by the multitude of thy magic, by the multitude of thy merchandise, they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore, I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. There you go. That's the description of him. 28:11 through 15, Isaiah 14, Isaiah 14:12. And that tells you what he is. It even describes him in the New Testament, if you want to see him. Now, this is what's scary about it. 11:13. This is a good part. There's more to it, but I'm just going to read this part. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed to an angel of light. Think about it. When a con man comes to you, he doesn't come mean. He doesn't come aggressive. He comes with a smile. He comes with friendliness. He comes with, if you will, welcoming. But what gets you is not his con, it's your greed. Because if you were happy with what you have, you would not need any more, and no one could con you. So it isn't the comments that's dangerous, it's the greed that's in us that's dangerous. So when we know who we are in him, there isn't anyone that can mess with us. And that's what the word of God is for, to teach us who we are in him. A lot of stuff has to come off, but he does that. See, not us, him. A lot of stuff has to be let go, but we don't do that. He does that. So there's your what occurred before man was made, where, if you will, speaking loosely, his homie turned against him. But God knew right what to do from that moment, because he's God. See? And if you really look at it, when God had man eat the fruit, the fig, when he had him eat it, when Satan went against God, that was really bad. But if you look at it, it was an image of God that did wrong, which made it far worse, because now it's an image of God, not just an angel. But yet God even made it better at the same time. Because it's God next to himself, and God won't go against himself. That's how we know that will never happen again. Period. These are the mysteries that people don't get, because we want to follow that heaven or hell. Just believe, pray, and everything will be all right. All that other junk. No, any way, shape, or form. Not in any way, shape, or form. So much in there. So let's go with what happened. Okay? Let's go with what occurred. Okay, we know he formed man out of desolate ground. Man became a living soul. And they gave him his wife, Eve. And they had children. And those children had children, had children, had children, had children, had children, had children. And that's man multiplying. Big time. Again, I think I shared this with you, and I'll share it again. All the time, when it speaks of the devil, when it speaks of the things that aren't good, it talks about darkness. Here's what darkness really is: not knowing. That's what that is. Simplistically, that's what it is. That's why when you know something, they say you're enlightened. Light, dark. He's in the dark, remember? Because he doesn't know. Or she don't know. But that's how powerful light is. Because like I said before, once you go in a dark room and you turn on the light, how fast does the darkness disappear? Like that. That fast. And that's why when the Bible called Jesus the light of the world. So when you look at it, watch this. The few scriptures in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. But here's what's mentioned in there. The Bible says this. God said, let there be light. That was the first time words were ever spoken audibly. I want you to know that. That's why it's the word. First time when God said, let there be light. And I'll tell you something. Jesus said it in Matthew 5:14. You are the light of the world. When God said, let there be light, because the Bible says God is light and in him is no darkness at all. When he said, let there be light, basically he was saying, I'm going to make me some more of me. I'm going to make me more of me. So he spoke us to existence and we weren't even around yet. We weren't even formed of the ground yet. But that's how he talks. It says he calls those things that are not as though they are. And I'm glad that he puts me through so much. Serious. Because then I learn a little bit. I learn a little tiny bit. And I see things a little more than I've seen before. You know, how precious things are. How wonderful things are. How great things are. Even though they may seem crazy at the time. So he said, let there be light. And then he divided the two. And he called everything else. Made everything else. Then he formed man. On the sixth day he formed man. And then he had man call everything what it is. And of course we know the fall. You ever wondered? I'm going to tell you right now. That's why the Bible, the just shall live by faith. Because what caught Eve's eye was that it looked like food. It looked good for food. That's what caught her. That's what messed her up a little bit. Because she looked at it and it looked good. A lot of what looks good really ain't good. It looked good for food. And she ate it. And she gave it to her husband and he ate it. And the Bible says their eyes were opened. I always wondered why we're made to grow from babies upwards rather than just be there. Because this world will drive us nuts. We got to get used to the chaos that goes on subtly. And so God knew exactly what he was going to do. The minute that Satan went against him, God already knew. When God had man fall, he also made it better at the same time. The same time that man was falling is the exact same time that, like my kids were in bed by 8. My kids didn't drink soda. My kids didn't eat candy all the time. My kids, no. We limited them in bed by 8. And we instilled this in them. A lot of the kids were doing certain things, and my kids couldn't do that. And they get mad at me sometimes. Why is that so mean? Why is that so strict? But you know what's really odd? At that time that they thought that, they thought I was being mean. They thought I was being restrictive. They thought I was being against them. In time, they seen what went on. And they'll more than likely, if they have children, they'll tell them the same things. Not because of me, but because that's the way life works. There's just things you can't get around. I grew up rough. I mean, really bad. Really, really bad. I never seen how bad it was before. Like I said, once you're around it a lot, then you're like, oh. But then when I hear the speeches of the people around me, I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. That's crazy. And so They learned in time. Dad was just defending us. Dad was protecting us. Dad was caring about us. Dad was, that kind of, mom too, not just me. Their mom as well. And that's what it seems like in certain situations. In certain situations that go on, that seems like it's not a good thing. Seems like it's not a wonderful thing. It seems like it's against us. But it's not. It's not against us. So you see, he does it for our benefit. I'll go into more later. Okay. Thank you for listening. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you later. Have a good evening.